What's up, guys? Welcome back to the JP and Trav Show, live from the JP and Trav YouTube channel, and also live from Travis's X account. As always, your host with the most, JP, and to my right, I have my esteemed co-host, brother and friend Travis J. Davison. Travis, how you feeling, bro?
Man, I'm good. Good. Just excited about this college basketball crown. It's something I look forward to every year. Always hoping my team makes the cut. One of the 8 teams that gets to go to Vegas to compete for the NIL dollars. So I was thrilled that Oklahoma did not make the big corporate, overblown, just, real sterile tournament. I'm glad we didn't make that so we could go to the Vegas tournament.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll be interesting. How many years is this for the Vegas tournament now?
It's only the second year, but a lot of good energy, though. Literally, Ghost Energy, I think, is the title sponsor. So a lot of good stuff. Although the timing is very weird because they're off this week. They're practicing all of next week, and then the next Monday they leave for Vegas.
Okay.
Like, I have no idea why they couldn't play this tournament, like, when all the other tournaments are going on. I mean, I guess they want the TV time, but I mean, it's kind of strange.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge fan.
I'll be interested. Do you know where they're streaming it from? Is it like what TV? Who has the rights to it? Do you know?
I don't know. Let's ask real quick. Who will be airing the college basketball crown tournament? It says it's a Fox. Oh yeah, it is a Fox property. It's FS1 because I remember like they immediately like went on FS1 and like started breaking down the teams and whatnot. I remember seeing that coverage now. So FS1, Fox. I think FS1 will be the early rounds, and then the Fox will handle the semifinals and the championship. So that's not bad. We're basically just Fox's postseason as opposed to CBS's postseason.
Yeah.
And they can make some cash. $300,000 goes to the winner for NIL money. And then 100,000 to the second place team, and then 50,000 to the whoever ties for third.
You think they're just gonna let them split it between the team?
You got to, right?
You would think.
I mean, it's kind of like the in-season tournament, the NBA with the cash bonuses. Like, you got to give everybody their cut.
Yeah, you would think so.
I mean, $300,000 would be nice.
I would not be happy if if something else happened. So, Trav, we obviously took last week off. There's a lot going on, just sports wise, and so felt the best to rest. But Kyler Murray, got picked up, and we're rolling with the Vikings. Trav, how are you feeling about that?
Man, if we did a show last week, I was going to be in full blown like Vikings horns, jersey, scarf, receiver gloves, drinking horn, the whole 9 yards. I felt it. I felt people would be confused if I did it this time. But I'm stoked. Kyler Murray, a Viking. I mean, what a day. I mean, because really, when you think of like Sooners that I've been able to root for in pros for my team, like you've got Adrian obviously is the most famous example, but outside of that, like, you didn't have like you had like a linebacker, like you had like Brian Asamoah or like Jalen Redmond. Yeah. Like these guys, it's like it's tough to root for like linebackers and defensive tackles. Like, yes, you root for them, but like it's not the same as like a quarterback or a wide receiver or something like that, right? Like skill positions are just easier to root for. Now, I do hope the Vikings somehow find a way to draft one of our 8 or 9 kids that are going to be drafted this year. That would be fantastic. Mm-hmm. But I'm so excited that Kyler's a Viking. I'm so glad to see Kirby. I think that's the first time I've said that so early in the pod. but it's so good to see Kirby so we can celebrate K1 being a Viking. It's a great day. It's a great day. He can do things with the football or on a football field that Minnesota has not had in a long time. We saw, like, we're so used to having just statues back there. Like, we almost gave Joshua Dobbs an extended contract. Like, this guy came in and played like a few good games and just moved outside the pocket. And Vikings ownership was like, they're allowed to do that? This is crazy. Josh Dobbs must be the best quarterback ever. And I'm like, no, we can just go. You're allowed to do that. You can just go get guys that can do that. So I think Kyler, what we saw with Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins when they played together, like, I think you can see a lot of special stuff. I think him and Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and Aaron Jones and these guys, I think they're going to have a great offensive season.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. Hopefully he can stay healthy, right? I think that's the biggest piece with him. Meanwhile, I don't even want to talk about the Colts now. I'm glad we got Alec Pierce back, but at the price tag we did,
Alec Pierce, isn't he like didn't you guys make him like highest paid at his position?
Yeah, I disagreed with it.
Like, what are you? Aren't you guys paying like $100 million to Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce? That's crazy. I know that, rest in peace, Jim Irsay's auction brought a lot of money, all of his guitars and everything like that, but I think you guys should have spent the money on something else other than Alex Pierce and Daniel Jones.
Alec is I think Alec is a solid number 2. Does he have number 1 potential? Maybe. But he definitely has not.
He's number 2, all right.
He's definitely has not earned the contract that we gave him. I will say that. Now, to be fair to him, we also haven't had, the most consistent quarterback play. You know what I mean? And so there's a piece of that that's true. But at the same time, the guys like, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, some of these
Jamar Chase and all these guys, JSN.
Like they've done it with no matter who it is. And so again, I like Alec Pierce. I do think that he provides, he's had, the last 2 years actually, he's been like, if not top, I think like top 3 in like yards per catch. And so he's a vertical threat. He also proved last year he can go in the middle. So I think he's showing that he's more than just like, the typical vertical threat. And again, he has a future Hall of Famer as his coach in Reggie Wayne. And so he's being coached up. But
Reggie Wayne doesn't coach. He just hangs out at Burn all the time. We know this.
We do know that. We do know that. But yeah, I don't think that equates to $100+ million contract. I'm not justifying it at all. I said from the jump I disagree with it. So I'm not justifying it. I don't think that it's right. But here we are. Okay, so we missed not only that, but we missed possibly, and certainly in recent memory, one of the greatest recruiting weekends that Oklahoma has seen. It was absolutely insane. This was about 10 days ago. So I know we're a little bit late kind of talking about it. This is the first show that we've had. Bro, what a weekend that was. And I was gonna, she's asleep. Otherwise I would have brought her in here, so that y'all can say thank you to her. But, I'm really saying it's my daughter's, it's her fault that it happened because it's her birthday. And so I think that she just put some super magic, into the atmosphere on that day. And, we saw what happened, Trav.
Yeah. And they've got such a big gap right now between the first and second classes. Obviously, in 247, it's a point total. But even on 3, Oklahoma has the number 1 class. When you look at, where they're ranked in the composite, they've now got 3 5-stars, man. They've got both, obviously, the offensive linemen from the state of Oklahoma, But you add Cooper Witten in that kind of 5-day span where they land all those commitments. I mean, you get Seneca Driver, who's the nation's #1 tight end, right? You get the #1 linebacker. You've already got 2 top 4 tackles in the class, right? I mean, adding, let's see, Jalen Scott, 4-star, top 200 player. You've added Jamison Roberts, your quarterback. He's only going to rise. He's a 4-star in the composite. I talked to somebody with 247 about a week ago. He said he'll probably, rise up through 4-star status. They're just waiting to get some measurements, like some updated verified measurements on him. So, you get him in the boat, Graydon Howell, who plays basically every position and every sport at Broken Bow. He has offers like at 4 positions. He gets in the boat. And then obviously Tyson Ross, the interior offensive lineman. So and this isn't the Lincoln Riley era where it's like you can take advantage of them, emotion wise and get the commitment and then just hope it sticks because they're going to take 30 other visits. Like Oklahoma, hasn't really dealt with a big flip problem under Brent, even when they were going 6-7. So it's a nasty class already. And they still have big time guys out there like not Jacoby Johnson, another Mustang product. Sorry, Gabriel Osborne, another two-sport star in Gabe Osborne. You still have like a Juju Johnson out there. He's a top 100 player at corner. Like you have a lot of these guys still out there that, Oklahoma's led for a long time, and you've already got 19 commits in the class. You could end up taking 25, 30 kids in this class and actually end up with a #1 recruiting ranking. I do think that if we do end up with a #1 ranking, which I'm not predicting by any stretch of the imagination, but mathematically it is possible, I think Kirby did some self-hazing talk in the comments a couple weeks ago. I've screenshotted, so.
He did.
We'll see.
Kirby liked to talk a lot, And speaking of talking a lot, and I don't think that Kirby is one of these guys, but there was a lot of OU fans, Trav, that had a lot to say about one Jim Nagy last year. And, I thought this was supposed to be, hire of the century. This was supposed to be the guy that's going to get OU football back to where it needs to be in terms of just his prowess, how he understands, recruiting and, obviously the NFL and how he's setting up his front office, all these things. And what do we say? Like we always say, Trav, patience. Yeah. We have to see. We can't jump in, just like we said with BV in that first class. Like we can't just jump in, or even the first defensive year, right? We can't just say this is how it is. Oh, BV is a defensive guru. What about the 2022 defense? What happened? I thought that it's like, hey, you got to give guys time, right, to implement things for it to actually be realized. Okay, BV, how's the defense doing now? Do we have anything to say about the defense anymore? Do we have anything to say about the defensive line, Todd Bates? Just jumping the gun and stuff, right? And it's like the same thing happened again with Jim Nagy. Just some of our fans, we talked about it. I know they're passionate, but they just, like, some of them just, because we haven't gotten that eighth, and I get it, like, we're just getting patient. And it's like, guys, you got to let this guy work. And lo and behold, right, like, he doesn't go after 5 stars. He does. Here comes 2027. He actually got to put his roots down and say, hey, 2026, I was finding my footing, and we weren't taking a lot of people anyway. 2027, boom. And you're seeing exactly, right, what happens when, a plan comes together. and why Jim Nagy was as coveted a hire as he was. As many people have said, oh, this guy, he's different. And it wasn't just smoke. Like, here's the fire. Like, when's the last time OU was in the contending for a #1 class? 2021, right? Like you said. And a lot of that was top heavy with just receivers. Like, it wasn't like a well put together class like this is.
Yeah, the 2021 was Caleb. 2019 was Spencer. Caleb's class had like Mario Williams in it. Spencer's class had like Theo and Jaden Hazelwood and Austin Stogner and Trajan Bridges in it. But like each of those classes, you had to get like decently far down the list to find a defender. And with this current class, when you go down the rankings, it's trench, defender, trench. Tight end is still skill position, but he plays, he'll block some boys. And then trench, defensive lineman, like to true skill position, you get all the way down to like 6th. It's like you've just got so much balance in this class. And I think that's what's so cool is like you're not just heavy on one and you're taking 5 wide receivers or something like that. So yeah, and apart from just the 2027 commits, like the coaching hires, man, like you went out and you got 3 coaches that other teams wanted, NFL teams wanted, Blue Bloods wanted, like,
Yep.
and you got all your guys. So like,
Yep.
like the hiring of Jason Witten, obviously we talked about a lot, but when you start looking at the Dylan McCullough hire, the Brown hire from Michigan, like you just went and got best available. And I think that matters so much because we had talked about over and over, hey, Brent has the opportunity to go hire a guy that knows his defense, that knows Oklahoma. You got a lot of these guys, and you can tell Nagy's got his, finger on the pulse of things going, hey, we're just going to go get the best available because we can go get the best available. So
Yeah.
It's been nice, man. Been really nice.
Yeah. No, it's been awesome.
Well, the program's just on such good footing right now. You're coming off a 10-win season. You've got the number 1 ranked recruiting class in 2027. You've got, your worst position room has been totally made over at the tight end room.
Yep.
And I mean, you're just in such good shape. Like these first 4 years of Brent, where you go 6-7, then 10-3, and then 6-7, and then 10-3. Like, I think that roller coaster stuff's over with, man. Like, I really do. And I'm not saying that we're going to win 10 or 11 games this year. We might, but a 9-game SEC schedule, and in four games we go at Michigan, at Georgia, and then Red River. Like, whew, like it's going to be a beast of a schedule. But I think this team's going to be better than last year's was.
Yeah, and that I would say that's saying something. Now, I think it'll be interesting to see how our defense is. Is our defense going to be holistically better, or is it just that we're a better unit in terms of like I think we all think the offense is going to be better. But if the defense is the same, even slightly less, I feel like it's still a better team if the offense is where we think it could be. But if the defense somehow gets even better than they were last year, then you're talking different at that point. And Trav, with all this draft talk, I forgot who said it, but somebody on X the other day was like a objective, guy that does analysis, NFL guy, said a scout told him Oklahoma might have 3 first-round defensive linemen on their team.
Wine, Jackson, and Stone.
Yeah, which that's saying something because like we've been talking about how long has it been since we've had, how many first-round defensive picks have we had?
In the last 20 years, we've had 2.
Kenneth Murray and who?
Kenneth Murray and Gerald McCoy.
Gerald McCoy, and maybe our Mason might sneak in at the end this year. We'll see.
I'll tell you what, it's not good that I take that back. It's good that Denver traded away their 30th pick.
You said it's good?
For the prospects of perhaps R. Mason Thomas going in the first round, because Denver wasn't going to take – Denver definitely wasn't going to take an edge rusher, considering they have one of the highest paid edge rushers on on their team right now. Like, you don't take somebody in the first round to sit behind the highest paid player on your team.
Yeah. Yeah, Benino could have been definitely a first rounder.
He could have been. He was a second rounder. I mean, there's no shame in that. But
no, for sure.
I mean, but also with him, it was about size, right? Like it took him a little while to even get to where he was now. Like when he was coming out of the combine, like he still like had some size questions about him.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that, you know, if the defensive line does what people think it will next year, and, you know, again, we were salty this year, but Line doing what he did last year coming on. I mean, we saw David Stone last year, how he was like, you know, another off season. And then same with Jaden Jackson, if he can stay healthy. And that's the crazy part, is like he was doing so much last year, like hampered, right? And if Jaden Jackson can be fully healthy and maybe hopefully that shoulder stays intact and is okay, I mean, you are potentially talking about some first round guys.
Yeah.
You know, just on that defensive line. You know, not to mention we'll see what kind of year, you know, Peyton Bowen has next year. You know, I'm interested to see where he goes. Same with Eli. You know, does Eli have a year where he says, well, you know, I may want to jump with my brother. I may want to go early. I don't know. You never know. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how it pans out. I'm sure we'll get more into spring stuff kind of as we go on. But speaking of some spring stuff, before we get into a little bit of OU basketball talk, as we have there on your line right there. I did want to talk about John Mateer because, you know, we saw OU Pro Day, and I know some talk had been coming out about it. And I remember just looking through, like, you know, somebody made a clip on YouTube, John Mateer, OU Pro Day throws. And obviously, there's that one clip to Deion Burks where Texas fans try to spin it and be like, oh my gosh, look how inaccurate he is. And then you get a full, like, you know, full field shot, and you see it was actually a pretty accurate ball. I think this throwing motion looks better. Now, is it full over the top? Maybe like some people would want. No, but I felt like, you know, it was definitely a deviation from, you know, kind of the shiftiness that we saw last year in his foot mechanics. Now, is it just on air? Yeah, but the truth is, last year he was doing that on air too. So, you know, you hope that it translates. And I feel like we saw that. You can tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like we saw that a lot in the Alabama game. You know, everybody points to the pick six, and I know that was really bad, but he made some throws in that game, and he looked generally better, like he had been working on his pocket presence and his feet. So I'm just interested to see how he progresses. But what are your thoughts on that, Trav?
Yeah, okay. So I like seeing any changes that quick. Like, and what I mean by that is John Mateer, if he thought that he was just a finished product last year and this is just as good as it's going to get, like, you wouldn't see him tinker with it. You know what I mean? Like, so anytime anybody who clearly has room to grow, anytime I see them make a change, I'm like, okay, well, they're trying to grow. You know what I mean? Like, it's like somebody going to the gym. Like, you see somebody at the gym, like, well, you know, I don't know anything else about them other than they're just trying to improve. So when you see a changed throwing motion, you know it's something he's working on. Like James said, his throwing motion isn't a problem. I wouldn't say it's the problem. I think that at times he gets a little bit sideways on things, and it causes the ball. So, like, I don't have to teach you guys. I'm not qualified to teach you guys about football, or I don't have to teach you. But as you throw, when you go that sidearm, the ball goes up, right? The trajectory's up, right? So it sails so much more. So you've got to really get it down and like shortstop it down. There's a reason that NFL quarterbacks, I mean, you look at where Josh Allen's, you know, release has been and his motion is, and about how he used to be all back here. Now he's up here. He's over the top. Like, everybody rips it by the ear now. Like, there's pretty standardized throwing motion in the NFL for a reason. Like it's, yeah, that would have been a way easier way to say it. Drop your elbow, ball goes up. And that's why with so many of them, and at times like JJ McCarthy would do this too, where he'd get going on the side and it would just go up. So I think that I don't think that the throwing motion is the biggest issue with John Mateer, but it is an issue. I think the bigger issues are reading defenses, trusting what you're seeing with defenses, just general accuracy with those kind of things. So, it's a total package. Like you need him to get better in every aspect of the game. You need everybody on that team to get better in every aspect of the game if you want to reach the goals that this team should have in front of them.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think that's why you saw the Sooners go out and be aggressive in the portal, especially obviously on the offensive side of the ball. And not even to say, about our coaching hires and Jason Witten and Devon McCullough at the running back position. I'm excited to see what it looks like, man. If we give John Mateer a running game too, I think it just helps. Not everything's on him. He's not toting the rock, and when he does tote the rock, if we have an effective running game, maybe he goes for more, right? And I know we saw some injuries last year, sprained knee, he was a little bit less explosive than the last half of the year, but I think John showed, hey, I'm good enough to be a quarterback that gets a team to a playoff. And again, as many issues as were had, there was good had as well. He did enough, and now it's like, hey, can we take that next step? I'm not going to say that he's going to take a Joe Burrow step. I think Joe Burrow's year was even his year in 2019 was a little bit, or 2018, excuse me, the year before was a little bit better than what John Mateer had. But Joe did make a huge jump.
Jeez,
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, Clea, did you want to be on the podcast?
Yeah, sounds like it.
My goodness.
Good night.
Goodness gracious.
But yeah, so I'm excited to see, what John's doing. We got the spring game coming up here, and what's the official date? I've been
1 month from today.
A month from today, April 18th.
Yep, 1 month from today.
So, it'll be fun to actually see, get to see him out there with the guys and doing some stuff. So I'm excited to get that rolling. Now I wanna go back up, Trav, to let's answer this really quick. I bet they cut way down on design QB runs because of our backup situation. So they double down on tight ends to improve the run game without having to go +1.
Well, they also needed to. I'm like, when you say double down on tight ends, they needed to add 3 tight ends. Just for numbers. It was, when you look at, you lost Will Huggins, you lost Jaron, and then there was somebody else you lost, Carson Kent. You added 2 from high school. Let's see. There was, and Caden Helms left for Minnesota. So, I think they just needed to get better at tight end. I think it was just as simple as that. So, I do agree that I think we'll see less designed quarterback runs, though. I think that John needs to understand, though, everything he does has an option to it. And so often the math works out when he's counting the box that he's like, oh, we're in the +1 run game now. It just makes sense mathematically for me to take off. And I think that's what we saw. Which game was it that he threw the pick late? We should have been running the ball. He pulled it.
Tennessee.
Yeah, the Tennessee game.
And it wasn't honestly, it wasn't like a terrible throw. It was deflected.
Well, and it was in things like that, I wish, and it's a coaching thing, and coaches took blame of it. In those scenarios, do not make every play an option. Only thing you should ever do is turn around and hand the ball off.
Yeah.
Like, you have no reason to put the ball in the air there. The problem is you walk up and he's like, doom, 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 doom. Okay, I guess I'm throwing because it's a heavy box. Because you know why it's a heavy box? Is because every team in their right mind should run the ball there. So it's a heavy box. So you go to a pass and you, for some reason, run your route. You throw to the route that's running into the traffic. That's the heavy box. But it's like stuff like that. Like if I could wave a magic wand and say, hey, look, I want one thing to change, like with the offense, I want there to be like common sense play calling. And I know that that sounds dumb, but common sense play calling. Like just if you've got the ball, late, like forget what the box looks like. Like stop counting. Not everything needs to be an option. Like just call a play, hand it off, and roll effectively. Better yet, this year, run behind some of your massive tight ends or some of your, talented offensive linemen that are all going to be back. Like things like that. Like that it annoys me beyond like the Falcons would have won the Super Bowl and not given up that 28-3 lead if they took this advice. Run the ball.
Yeah.
Like, but they did the same thing. Oh, let me count. Hold on. Oh, got to throw.
Yeah.
So that, I think a lot of really smart coaches lose games because they're so dialed in to trying to do the smart thing, do the clever thing.
Yeah, you're right. Trying to outthink it. And a lot of, I'll compare it to this, and it'll be a good segue because we're going into basketball here. I was talking with my point guard from the state championship team I coached a few years ago. He transferred to a little bit bigger school right the year after, and so his senior year, he just committed to go to a school in Southern Indiana. So I was talking to him after a section last week, and he, as much as he was appreciative of going to a bigger school, he told me he wish he would have stayed with me as a coach because the coach he has is such more of a schematic guy than I was, and not that I can't scheme up things, but I was so much more hey, we're gonna do what the situation dictates, and we're gonna play smart and do what it says instead of trying, you know what I mean, go with the flow of the game as opposed to trying to outsmart people. Like if I have a guy that's got a mismatch 9 times out of 10, I'm going there. I'm going there until they prove to me it can be stopped. I'm not like, oh well, they're probably planning for this, and now I'm going to flip it. No, it was straight that. As opposed to, I think his coach this year was very much a run the play. This is what we're going to do. He's controlling every aspect, right? And there's a lot of coaches like that have just their tight hand grip on their offense and how they want it done. And I think that, again, there's nothing wrong with that in moments because, yes, we have guys that are great schematically and that can scheme things open. That's great. But, I feel like the best coaches also, can kind of do both. Can do that and can also, go with the flow and understand how the game is going. You know what I mean? And, okay, transition to basketball. Like I said, basketball talk a little bit. Jim wants to ask us, hey, were you guys pro Porter? And obviously we'll get into, what Oklahoma decided to do and not go to NIT and obviously not making the NCAA tournament. But Roger Denny came out in defense of, I don't want to say defense, like it was a huge whatever, but I think he more was taking accountability for the program that he now runs and saying, hey, it's hard for me to hold a coach accountable when he's not dealing with a lot. He's not being given a lot. And so I want to see in my first year, full year, when I'm committing to these things, how does he do? And I don't have a problem with that as an AD. I understand what he's saying. But a lot of people are like, well, we've seen who he is, so why even give it a try? What are your thoughts?
So my thoughts on it are I don't think the decision had much to do with Porter Moser at all. I think that Roger Denny, when he got hired, what did everybody say when he got hired? Well, first order of business, fire Porter Moser.
Right.
First order of business, what are you going to do about Porter? First order of business, men's basketball. Like everybody knew it. So he had a lot of time to think about this. Did a lot of research on what the funding was like, what the resources were like, what they were historically, what are they like against other SEC programs, operations budget, NIL budget, support staff, all that kind of stuff. So, with the way I saw it, he retains Porter and says, hey, look, like basically says that if you give somebody $3 and tell them to go to the grocery store, you better not complain that, dinner sucks. Like,
Yeah.
it's like you need to have all of your programs better funded. And Roger Denny went on KREF with Dari and had this interview about, and he said only 2 of the 21 programs at Oklahoma are in the top 4 of their sport when it comes to budget.
Yeah.
And we all can probably safely assume that's softball and women's gymnastics. So 10 of the, let's see, no, I think 6 of the 21 are like, I forget what the tweet was. I don't want to misquote it, but there were a lot that were underfunded, a lot. So the problem is Roger Denny, when he takes the job, if he's got to hire a coach, you're hiring them in to a reputation that you do not fund your programs.
Right.
And there's not a lot worse reputation you can have as an AD than one who doesn't fund their programs. So I think with his statement, it's, hey, we're going to make sure we're well funded with basketball, because the next time around, say Porter falls flat on his face with this new resources. Well, then cool. Next time around, the hiring pool is going to be so much better because he'll have better candidates, because he just told us a year ago that he's giving them more money now. So, like, it's tough. He talks about retention a lot. He says it's been very tough to watch 3 of our former guards leading high-seeded teams into the NCAA tournament right now. Otega Owe, Ilus Uzan, and Duke Miles. Like, all those guys were on your team.
Yeah.
Like, so are we going to be able to outspend Kentucky and Houston? Probably not. I mean, maybe Houston. Maybe we should be able to. So, like, the retention piece of it, like, I really thought it was well thought out. But the real thing is Roger Denny's first act as AD was not to retain Porter Moser. Roger Denny's first act at AD was to send a message to every coach in the country that if you come coach at Oklahoma, you will be well funded. That was his actual first act. It wasn't the singular just Porter thing. It was him sending a very loud message to the country that says, if you come coach here, I'll make sure you have money.
Yeah. And it's a win-win situation for him, right? Because, hey, if Porter takes off because of this, which he could, then he was right. But like you said, hey, if he gets a year to figure that out with actual resources, and he's still not, it's still the same thing. And like you said, hey, it ain't because we ain't funding him, right? And the other thing, to your point,
$5 million buyout attached to him too.
That too is, Porter had a bunch of people, objective college basketball people, come out, in agreement with it, saying Porter's, one of the nicest guys, not only one of the nicest guys, best man, great coach. Like, it's not that. What's up, man?
Man.
It's not that Porter. It's not like Porter Moser is a catastrophically bad coach, right? I think we've seen what he can do, even with less. Like, we saw what he did at Loyola, but again, I think you could say he probably had a little bit more buy-in there, which is crazy to say at a place.
Well, you see what he did over these last 10 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this is some of the best Oklahoma basketball has looked since I don't know when.
Yeah.
Like,
we're playing hot.
Like, you win 7 out of 9 in the SEC. You take Arkansas down to the wire. Like, that's a team a lot of people have in the Final Four. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
Advanced Metrics had us playing as like a top 15 team down the stretch. Like, yeah, he was. I mean, early on, you're dealing with health issues and not able to close out games, and you lose 2 buzzer beaters to Mizzou in the same night. Like, it was hell early in the year.
Yeah.
But the players never gave up on him, and they played their best basketball down the stretch. So, like, you try and wrangle some of that. And yeah, you've got guys like Pearl and Calipari and guys that have won a lot of games saying, hey, look, like, Porter's a good coach. Like, so, but again, yeah, you save the buyout of $5 million. You give him another year. And really the transactional cost, as he was saying, would actually be around like $7 million or $8 million, because you got to buy out the staff. You've got obviously his buyout. And then you probably, not to mention how much you got to pay a coach next year in his first year. You're not going to go get a budget coach the next time around. So it's like, I thought it was his decision was made much more difficult down the stretch. I bet during the 9-game losing streak, he's like, all right, time what I wonder is, when he thought he was going to have to hire a coach, did he reach out to some agents, and some agents said, nah, OU, we see where the NIL budget is for OU. We see where the operations budget is. That's not a job we want. Like, I wonder if that tripped something in him to be like, oh, I need to change the reputation on us before I try and hire a basketball coach, or else I'm going to be hiring a new one in 3 years anyways.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that it makes sense. And I feel like, again, you doing it obviously as you would do as AD being hired, you do an full assessment on the state of the program, seeing what you need, like what needs immediate attention. Again, I think being smart in saying that. I know people want to react harshly to stuff, but at the end of the day, I think you have to allow people to come in and, like, somebody can tell me crazy things about somebody, right? And again, I think there's something to having good discernment and, like, yes, listening to people that you trust, but at the same token, a lot of times you really need to have the understanding, the nuance, and the experience with the person before you just jump to judgments. Like, I think that's a lot of what's wrong with our world right now, is that we just jump to judgments about everything and everybody based off of what we heard from this person, you know what I mean, and this person, versus, or even optically what we see. Like, when we're talking about this situation, we can say, well, Porter's been here 4 or 5 years. Like, we've seen what he is, but again, when you get in, you look at the situation, and you look at, like he said, was being transparent about, we haven't had a lot of funds given to him, right? We've lost great players, right, to other programs in the NIL era. And Porter's the one that's taking the hit, as if he's a guy that runs his players off. And that may not be true. It may just be that we didn't have the resources to keep them.
Well, and what's held Oklahoma back is their best big man has consistently had trouble staying off the bench with fouls.
Yeah.
And when Mo McGee stays out of foul trouble, he's good. Like, they're good. The problem is, a big man in the SEC, like an average to above average starter in the SEC, goes for like $2 million. OU's roster was like 3.6.
Yeah.
Like, you're just not getting you're not getting the big guys. So, like, when you look at a guy like look at a team like Florida, who's got a bunch of big dudes, like, you're gonna get your brains beat in every time by a team like that. So I just, like, you need money to get those guys. It's like, and I'm sure Porter has run off his fair share of guys, just like most coaches have. But just like Calipari said in his interview, during the SEC tournament, he said, coaches win games, organizations win championships. Like,
Yes.
you have to fund like the organization, the resources, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's how you win a championship. Like,
Mhm.
and they're in charge of getting the great players. So I'm more confident, and I'm also, look, I'm a big Joe C guy. Like, he's always been very kind and like just friendly to me and accessible to me for events and things like that and texts and whatnot. But I'm glad that Roger Denny wasn't afraid to make him look bad,
Yeah.
because you can't really do the job if you're afraid of,
Yeah. What people
calling
think.
out things that happened under your predecessor. And to be fair to Joe C, like the SEC money, like we only got a half share and we got like nothing from the Big 12. Like, it was a very bad time to try and fund a basketball program.
Yes.
Like, now we get the full like 70 million or 80 million, whatever,
Yes.
for the SEC deal, and then that can fund more. Like,
Yeah.
cutting that off at the timing of it, that's rough. So that could explain where a lot of the funding went. But Denny's kind of, right spot, right time kind of guy, because now he's going to get the full share, and then he can divvy it all up and be like, boom, see, I funded all the programs. Look at me. So
yeah, no, I mean, I agree. It is tough, and again, I can only speak as a high school AD. Like, I'm not gonna act like I know the difficulties that would come with being a Division I AD. I can only speak to what I know in my level, but I know, again, in any level, in my opinion, of being an athletic director, you get in and you do a full assessment of the program. Your boots on the ground. You're talking to people, and that's what I honestly, Trav, like that's what a lot of people I think overlook sometimes about the AD position is how many conversations are had. You can't quantify the conversations that you have as an athletic director. People see stuff. They see, obviously wins, championships. They see this, that, but they don't see the constant talk, the constant how tapped in normal should be, at least athletic directors would be, right? And obviously at a position like University of Oklahoma AD, you have plenty of WADs, you have plenty of assistant ADs, and so you're compiling them into a room and you're saying, hey, give me the scoop. What's going on? You're talking to them, you're talking to training staff, you're talking to, people that have been around the basketball program, trying to get a beat on what's going on here. Is it
just get their opinions? Yep.
Yeah. Is it what it's made out to be? Because again, you can listen to the outside hype and the outside noise, or you can talk to the people that have been in the program and know what's going on. And once you get that assessment, I think it makes your job a lot easier. Like, had Porter, had a program that's like imploding from the inside and nobody likes them and everything like that, I think it makes the decision a lot easier. But when you have people coming out for Porter, like I think some people have, and then you also see, like he said, and I'm glad he's being transparent. And I said this on X, I said, a transparent AD, what do people need? Because a lot of people think they know stuff and they really don't. And so for him to say, hey, here's the reality, like, this is where our program's at. And like you said, no shot at Joe C, but like he's just being real about the state of the program, right? Just like we would hope to. And he ain't a politician, thankfully, so he not lying about the state of the state of the union when it comes to the University of Oklahoma athletics. He's like, this is what it is. Like, we're low on the totem pole, and it's hard for us to expect a guy to outperform his counterparts when he's being outspended. Like, again, I know people want to point to Skip, and I get that. Like, I know Skip has done an excellent job, even with less money, but we're talking about different sports as well, to be honest with you. I don't feel like we apples to oranges, in my opinion. Now, does that mean that Porter, is not going to be on a short leash? I don't think so. But I think it is fair, just like I feel like it would have been fair to Skip, right? For us to say, hey, we need a little bit more investment in the baseball program before we just, no pun intended, but skip out on Skip Johnson, right? And so yeah, that's kind of a short thing of like what I would do as soon as I got in. But again, I ain't never had to deal with that much. So more power to Roger.
Well, and like he talked about, like he brought up the underdog mentality that he had mentioned, and he's like, you have to have an underdog mentality, but if you match that with resourcing, then you've really got you get championships. So like the crazy part about it is, as I think it was Jim in Arlington that brought up the actual quote about only 6 of the 21 sports that are in the top 10 in funding. Well, like baseball is currently a top 10 team in the country. Softball is a top 5 team in the country. Both gymnastics programs are number 1. I think maybe men's is number 2, but like you got 4 programs in the top 10. Women's basketball is hosting the first round of the NCAA tournament. Like you've got success at these programs. So now it's like, man, what'll happen when we actually fund these dudes? Like get Skip a pitching lab, like open up their NIL budget, get the development side taken care of, like all that kind of stuff. Like it's Jim, I think that's what like Jim was gonna have, or Skip had options, Texas and Texas A&M. But like that's where I'm thinking like, okay, Oklahoma has a lot of teams that compete nationally, right? Oklahoma, football makes the playoff, right? Top 10 team. Like when you look at, we've got, again, probably, 6 sports that are top 10. Now, are those all the 6 that are top 10 in funding? I don't know. Probably not. But it works. Providing your team's money works. And the ROI, he talks about the ROI a lot. The West Side renovation on the football stadium is going to bring in tons of revenue. The basketball arena is going to bring in tons of revenue. We need more suites and premium seating at the K at baseball. We probably need more suites and premium seating at softball as well. But like revenue generation is the name of the game. And at the end of the day, with TV contracts, football is your biggest, basketball is your next biggest, and then baseball and softball to a degree. But those are going to be your biggest revenue generators. So he's going to pour money into the revenue generators, which is great news if you're an OU men's basketball or baseball fan. That's what he's going to pour resources into.
Yeah. And this gets us back, Trav, as well, to the age-old argument is maybe not the right word to use, but conversation. Let's just say that. Conversation about what he said, right, which I got into a few arguments on X this week about, he said we're also going to need, though, community, fan engagement. We need the troops to be rallied, essentially. And I know some people took exception to that because they're like, well, as we said on here before, and had conversations about, well, give us a winner and then we'll do this. And, I think he's a holistic approach of like, hey, we're going to provide our end of the bargain by investing. Can you do your part and invest with us? And again, I understand the argument of, well, I need to see something before I do this. And I get some people, do that. But in my opinion, in every turnaround, you need fans that are going to be invested. Doesn't mean that, the LNC has to be sold out. No, but can we get a decent crowd on hand and people that are going to say, okay, hey, we have a new AD. You asked this of us. We're going to show up because that's what Oklahoma does. That's what Oklahoma is. That's how the fan base is. We're going to show up. And, when you show us like, hey, there's no investment or, the product is still bad. Hey, we gave you this, but, you didn't hold up your end of the bargain. So we're stepping back out. But I do feel like it is a vital part of even getting people to want to come here. Yes, money is the most vital part, but you have to have a good atmosphere too, because you can have all the money in the world, but if you have a terrible atmosphere, that's going to eventually, bite you in the butt.
When Roger Denny shared the 30% of of people who actually have season tickets were not going to basketball games this year. So they're paying for the tickets, but they're not using them. So like it doesn't think like he talked about concessions. We need to relook at concession prices, maybe lower those. We need to look at specials that we're doing. We need to look at, all that kind of stuff. Like he understands like Illinois cares about basketball. Illinois is a good basketball program. Like they got a good coach. They're like a 4 seed or something like that. Like Illinois is in good shape, and that's where he learned from. That's where he cut his teeth. So it's like, all right, like he's seen what that can do for a total athletic department if you have a good men's basketball program. So like he's going to look at that. But at the same time, yes, like OU fans, more than a lot of fan bases, are front runners, or have a lot of front runners. I'm not saying all OU fans, but a lot of front runners. A lot of them were raised on Barry Switzer winning every game and Bob Stoops winning every game, and then they go to or Patty Gasso winning every game, and you go to all these, other events, and you're just like, I'm here to see the team win, and then if they don't win, you're like, well, I'm not coming back. Like, it's like I said it on radio today. I was like, a lot of people, like we were talking about softball, and it's like softball is a top 5 team in the country right now. They've got a chance to win a national championship again. They always have a chance to win a national championship, but specifically this year they have a historic offense, so they have a chance to win a national championship. But you had people that were hitting the text line that were like, oh, this team can't win a national championship. And they were out on it. And it's like, if you only enjoy watching sports when you are guaranteed to win a championship with your team, you are not a fan of sports. You are a fan of feeling more important than your friends, family, and people on Twitter because you root for a champion. That's what you're a fan of. You're a fan of feeling important and feeling like a winner. You're not a fan of sports. It's 2 different things. So, like, that's where we've got to get to as a fan base is we've got to enjoy basketball again. Like, maybe Porter's just got to have a product that people really enjoy. I think down the stretch as they were, Nigel Pack was bombing threes and, this, that, and Mo McGee was playing great. Like, that was a fun product. And it's like, but that's the thing. It's people have been raised by a college football blue blood. They expect to go to every single game and see their team win. And if they don't think that the team held up their end of the deal. So then they're going to stop holding up their end of the deal. And that is not how sports should work. I mean, like if you can't watch, like if you're like, oh, I'm a huge OU football fan, And then I ask like, okay, cool. Like, do you watch any other football? Well, no, I can't watch it if I don't have, my team's not playing. Okay, well then you're not even a football fan. You are an OU football fan, specifically when OU's winning. Like that's when you're loudest, right? So it's tough because you've got so much of the fan base that's built on the back of Patty, Bob, Barry, Bud, all that kind of stuff, and it's like, when they have to rally together and try and influence a game, it can become rather difficult.
Yeah. Yes. And it's just, you said it great. And the only thing that I'm going to add is like, the issue is we're in the freaking SEC, guys. Like other fan bases in the SEC, they don't do that. They show up. And so it's like, what makes us at Oklahoma different? That we just don't, you know what I mean? Like that we just don't show up to stuff because of, and again, I get it. I can understand the argument.
It's a fan base raised in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Like it simply is. And I think part of it is in the SEC, like it's very rare, basically Bama is the only one to ever go on a run like Oklahoma went on in the Big 12. Like it is rare. So all these SEC fans are like, hey, every once in a while you're going to have that 8-4 season or that 7-5 season. And then you're going to get this, recruiting cycle going and this, that, and the other, and you're just going to so every game is close. Like there's hardly any blowouts in the SEC, at least on Oklahoma's schedule. So when you are in that many close games, you need the home crowd to affect the game. Oklahoma never needed a home crowd to affect a game against Kansas. Never needed a home crowd to affect a game largely against Missouri and A&M back in the day, or OSU or anything like that. It's just people, and I do think the actual basketball fans just go up to the thumbs now. They need to, and I think a new arena is going to be great for them. But
we just don't have enough. We just don't have enough basketball fans, Trav. We talked about it. I know basketball's big in Oklahoma. I know my family lived there. My aunt played for OU in the late 80s, early 90s. I understand how, but at the same time, it's like you'll deal with football. People still, football games get sorted out with bad coaches, right? Up here in Indiana, right? Indiana basketball, they ain't been good in years, bro.
Right.
Assembly Hall is getting sold out.
Right.
Assembly Hall has 15,000 people in it. Because they care, because there's an attitude of we're going to show up because this is our team and they take pride in it. And so it's like, are you going to take pride in the program or not? And it's okay. I feel like just admit that, that's what it is, that you're not taking pride in the program as well. It's what have you done for me lately type thing. And that, I don't think that that's true fandom, in my opinion. Now,
other people, and I'm glad when people come out and say, I don't go to OU basketball games because I don't like basketball. I appreciate that honesty when people are like, I'm an OU football fan. I like football. I don't like basketball, so I don't go to basketball. Cool. Be honest about it. Don't make up all these things about, oh man, if you win, then I'll come. No, you won't. No, you won't. And also, if you do, it's because you get that fun feeling of, oh, we just won a game. I can't wait to talk crap to all these burners on Twitter. That's my whole point is your team shouldn't have to earn your love. And a lot of people will be like, well, it was when Billy Tubbs was coaching, man, that place was packed. Yeah, they were good. They were competing for national championships. That's why it was packed. Do Oklahoma fans ever pack places when teams aren't good? No. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess unless it's football, theoretically.
Well, they haven't been bad enough to test that theory since, pre-2000.
Losing seasons, you know what I mean? It's not like we've had 3 wins, but
right.
But even then, it was less. I will say that it's not like it was filled to the brim, but it was still.
They would just leave earlier. They were still holding on to their tickets. They had too much money invested in it, but
that's true. Anyways,
that's enough. Loyalty questioning for the fans tonight. We're a little bit overdue, so
we are. I'll be interested to see how it goes, and we'll see how this college basketball crown goes, and maybe there will be some more momentum there if we win it. Maybe people think, what happens? I'll let you answer this last question, man. We'll get out of here.
Yeah, I think we'll win the crown. I think we're the best. I think we're the best team in the crown. We were the last team left out of the tournament, so we had to be the best. We had to be the best team not in the tournament. If you look at it that way. So, yeah, I think it's a very winnable tournament. They got to beat Colorado at a minimum.
Yeah. Yes, they should. They should beat Colorado. They're not very good. They have some nice young players, I'll say that, but they're,
They do. Ooh, let's see. 3. All right. I think it's time to hit the.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming out. Almost 500 tonight. I know splitting time with OU Insider, but appreciate you guys coming on out and talking with us. And hey, we love y'all. We love OU fans. We just, I think we all need to be, like Roger said, engaged together and look forward to the new era of OU athletics, and hopefully one that, is well funded. So appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week. Plan on the same time unless you hear from us differently. And Boomer.
Sooner.